I started working with Bob and Denise in 1981, but I knew of the firm before then through my studies at Penn. In Complexity and Contradiction, I think I was probably a freshman or sophomore, and it was, wow, what am I reading? It really opened architecture up, and it really resonated with me personally.
The modern movement believed very firmly that there was a right way to make architecture, and it was proper modern architecture. And they said, wait a minute, we are at risk of vastly oversimplifying the reality of architecture if we think that there is only one right way to make things, and it is the orthodox modern way or the classically modern way.
Bob and Denise really found the architecture of the 60s and 70s, that it had lost its way. Architects had kind of elevated themselves above the everyday and were in their aesthetic cloud somewhere. Bob and Denise always used to say that learning from Las Vegas set the firm back 15 years because everybody was still going, Las Vegas, and of course the studio architects thought Las Vegas was Babylon or some really nasty place that had nothing to do with architecture. Bob and Denise realized that it's a kind of a fundamentally American place.
They are among the great mannerist architects of all time. As the mannerists did at the end of the Renaissance. They took ideas and just started playing with them and tweaking them and exaggerating this and reducing that and playing around with that. And suddenly, the thing that you didn't used to look at because it was so ordinary and conventional made you stop and think again.
It's not about style, and it's not about postmodernism. It's really about ideas.
It's about inclusiveness. It's about both and, not either or. It's about embracing these contradictions.
It was really sort of understanding what makes the place work. What's the relationship between the street, the sign, the parking, and the building? It just opened up architects to a much broader series or set of influences to consider when you're designing. It was liberating for young architects like me, and I'm sure many of Bob and Denise's peers will say the same thing.
Because their backgrounds were very different, their early careers were very different, but together, they grounded each other as well as enriched each other.
They're wonderfully complementary. Bob brought the whole notion of context, buildings as part of a place and an environment and an institution, and Denise as a whole part of a network of social and physical kind of webs that every building affects.
They became one, and they became one intellectually as well as professionally. Denise gives Bob a kind of real-world grounding that he might not have otherwise had. Bob gives Denise a kind of poetry that she might not have had.
Yes, it's important that it's husband and wife, man and woman, but it's also architecture itself. It's really the way architecture happens. It's a very, very collaborative undertaking with many participants. And that's one thing that Bob and Denise always did throughout the firm is everyone's contributions were recognized. They had this just great ability to give responsibility to people, let them rise to where they're going to rise, and then help them get across the threshold if that was possible and rise some more. And they gave whole generations of architects the faith to believe in their ideas. That is the ultimate in mentorship.